Regular meeting of the Town Council. It is the 11th day of July at exactly 7 p.m. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We do have all councilmen in attendance, and we have a quorum, so we can conduct business. Let the record also show that Town Clerk Gray and Billing Clerk Neuenschwander are also in attendance. Could you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Sorry, I forget to turn this on. The first item of the agenda is to reconvene to our regular meeting from our work session. Could I have a motion to reconvene?
So moved.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Councilman Denny, seconded by Councilman O'Meara. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Hearing none opposed, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is to adopt the agenda. Could I have a motion to adopt the agenda, please?
So moved.
Okay. Second?
I'll second.
It's been moved by Councilman Merrill, seconded by Councilman Rock. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Hearing none opposed, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the announcements and proclamations. And I actually do have a proclamation to read for Terry Wilson. Am I too loud? Okay. Terry has been, he has helped this town for many, many years, long before it became a town, and then he was part of the water board for several years. And he has now decided to retire. His term was up. And so I would like to read this proclamation of gratitude for Terry Wilson. Whereas the town of Star Valley Ranch wishes to acknowledge, recognize, and express appreciation to Terry Wilson for his outstanding and dedicated service to the town of Star Valley Ranch. Whereas the town of Star Valley Ranch wishes to acknowledge, recognize, and express appreciation to Terry Wilson for his unwavering dedication to the improvements of the town water system. Whereas the town of Star Valley Ranch and its citizens have greatly benefited from the tireless work of Terry Wilson as a member of the Water Utility Board. Whereas the town of Star Valley Ranch and its citizens greatly appreciate Terry Wilson's hard work, dedication, and support for the town water prior to the town's formation and for the past 17 years. Whereas the town of Star Valley Ranch desires to formally recognize Terry Wilson for his numerous contributions to the town water system, including engineering and construction advice. Now therefore, we, the town of Star Valley Ranch, Wyoming, do hereby proclaim the town's sincere and honest gratitude to Terry Wilson for his unwavering commitment to the betterment of the town of Star Valley Ranch and for all his services rendered. In witness whereof, we have here unto set our hands this 11th day of July in the year 2023. Thank you. The next item on the agenda, we have two guests here tonight. From the Mid-Valley Fire District, we have the new chief, Ted Jenkins. So if you'd like to come up to the podium, congratulations.
Mayor, council members, yes, I am Ted Jenkins. I am the newly, as of July 1st, I am the new fire chief for the Dayton Volunteer Fire Department of the Fire District. So we I'd like to introduce my new officers that are also support me in everything that I do, along with the whole department. But my assistant chief is Paul Peterson. I want you guys to know if you can't get a hold of me for some reason, Paul's your guy.
Okay.
And then Nick Hammer is Nick's in charge of all of our safety, which is sometimes hard to do with some of us renegades. So, and then Cole Juleson, he's got some exciting stuff going on in the fire district. As a lot of you have probably seen last weekend, we got us a new truck, which eventually is, we bought this truck with this town in mind. It is a four-wheel drive tender tanker combo. It's a Class A pumper that will hold 2,000 gallons of water. So that's more than our big engines hold. Right at the moment, we have this truck sitting in the Thane station, just while we try to get some of our other trucks fixed. This truck is basically doing two trucks jobs with our tender, which means that's, if we can't get to a hydrant, this truck's gonna shuttle water to our engines to fight a fire. And also, this truck is a pumper, so we can use it as a fire engine, so we can roll up to some of these residences that you might have here that's a little harder for our regular engines to get to. So, with that being said, I'll answer any questions you guys may have, and other than that, that's all I got.
I have a couple of questions. First of all, do you need more volunteers? Because I know as a town, okay.
Absolutely. We, we're running with, we've been steadily growing our roster for the last 2 to 3 years. We have implemented a cadet training program in our fire department, which means we do all of the in-house training,
Okay.
all of the practicals, all of the testing. We're very lucky to have a state proctor in Paul Peterson. He's one of very few people who can proctor test for the certification for the state, and we got him right in our house, so that's awesome.
That's great.
So
That's
we
great.
have 2 guys pending right now that should be taking the test here this summer. I've got 2 other guys that are just starting the program this late winter, early spring. So we're slowly chipping away there, but we could always use, we'd like to run at a 30 to 33 roster, person roster. We have probably close to 6, 7 guys that are looking at retirement in the next 5 years.
Okay.
So we always need some more volunteers for sure.
And I asked because we have, in our community, we've got a good communication system. Councilman Rock does our town newsletter, and so we can definitely get the word out for you, that we need more
That'd be
volunteers.
awesome.
Okay.
Just have them be on our website or contact me for
Okay.
any information about doing the department.
Okay, that would be great. And then the other question, we had a rough winter, as the people who were here all winter know. A lot of snow, and our hydrants didn't get cleaned out the way we think they should. So the question is, do you always hook into the hydrants, or how do you?
Well, if a hydrant is available, absolutely. That's
Okay.
our number one
Okay,
preference. One, it's a constant water supply.
okay,
Two, if we have to stretch a hose out, a certain distance, we lose our water pressure, just
Mhm.
running through the hose. So, closer we can be to a fire hydrant, the
Right.
better. So, I would very much encourage, we all are understanding of this last year's winter. It was clean them out, and by the evening, they were all
mhm,
back in again, so as far as that goes, we're gonna do what we have to do. We have guys that if we see a fire hydrant that's close that we can get to,
mhm.
that's buried, if we can dig to it at a time and fashion and get to it, we will do it. Otherwise, we'll just start trucking water, which in turn delays the firefighting capabilities to a certain degree, kind of depending on the situation, but we definitely would encourage anybody that sees a fire hydrant blocked off, including us,
Yeah,
to try to get it cleaned out as soon as possible.
okay. I appreciate that, because it's been a discussion that we've had, and we've heard, no, they never use them, or yes, they do, and so I'm thinking,
Yeah, absolutely.
I was
We're
thinking-
using fire hydrants.
I just needed clarification, so yes.
Yep.
Okay, that's great.
All right.
Does anybody else have a question? All right.
Yeah, a question came up yesterday from our financial advisory board relating to fire insurance for homes. And the question was, has the town ever been updated since all the fire hydrants were put in terms of our rating?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't,
absolutely. More fire hydrants gonna lower your fire rating for sure.
yeah, I wonder where,
This fire response center is gonna help.
okay,
And, you know, if you got a station within your town limits that we have trucks that are responding to your calls, that's definitely gonna lower your.
Okay.
So how do we go about getting the agency that sets those ratings up to review the town?
You know what, I'm not 100% sure, you know, like I said, I'm July 1st.
yeah, I know, and I don't believe it's
As
the
far
fire
as the ISO
department.
ratings, I'm not 100% sure if I deal with that, I don't think I
Okay.
do, it's something that the insurance companies are gonna have to call me and deal
Right,
with us directly.
right, well, we'll see if we can figure it out, because we're very curious, we have high fire insurance up here,
I
so,
bet you do.
yeah, we do,
Yeah.
so, yeah, good bring.
I have a question.
Bobby, did you have a question?
I know in Oklahoma, the state regulates that rating that they give the towns there. I don't know if it's the same way here in Wyoming or
Okay.
not, but it's a code that goes through the state that gives the rating of the town. It depends on your fire hydrants, your equipment, your manpower, whether you're full-time or part-time.
Okay.
Absolutely. And distances.
Yeah,
Yes.
You can go to ISO.org.
who,
ISO.org.
Okay. ISO.
Certification.
okay, that helps. Mr. Thacker, I should make you come up and introduce yourself, but I know who you are, so.
I've already addressed this issue with the updated fire control and the hydrants and new water lines and things like that with my insurance agent. They just blew me off. They're not
So
even,
we're,
said, no, we've already figured that out, and no, you don't get a cut in your rate or, you know, anything like that.
mm-hmm,
They just basically blew me away, so.
okay,
If we could do something to hammer on a couple of guys, that would be considered friendly gesture.
Well, we'll do what we can to help you out.
Okay.
Obviously, you know, a lot of that curtails what you guys do, you know, you guys have a good Firewise program up here.
yeah,
And if you keep that up and, you know, keep the town, you know, where you guys are so close to this national forest, it's, that's a big
Yeah.
hit to you guys, so it's gonna be interesting if we ever do have a wildfire up here.
but at least that gives us a place to start, to where we can see if we can't do something for the residents, so I appreciate that.
Start there and go from there.
Okay, very good, thank you so much. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
That helps. All right. Next person on the agenda is from the Star Valley EMS, and that is Bud Clark.
Well, it's not gonna be death by PowerPoint, but Sherry can do all the PowerPoint.
Let's put Sherry to work.
I do have a PowerPoint. Uh-oh. I just realized I didn't bring my adapter. Cause everything's no longer USB.
I know, we're a little old
It's
fashioned.
all.
We
yeah,
are.
so just
I keep
realized-
telling them we need to update those, but,
I just realized I need an adapter. Well, I
Well,
can walk
you-
you through this.
okay, you walk us through this.
With my PowerPoint, just kind of talk through it. So first off, thank you very much, council, for allowing us to come and present to you. With that, I would tell you that Star Valley EMS we started in, January 1 of 2022. And today, let's say we were a 3-4 when we began this merger.
Mhm.
And I would tell you, we've moved to either 7-8 is kind of like the scale of where we're providing services at. The leadership is full-time staff-wise. We're running 3 full-time stations. It's not the way we want to do it, because what does an EMS station look like? And the EMS station looks like where you park rigs in a warm garage that has specifically good drains in the bottom of them, right? That's important. Not that they flood into the bathroom in your garage when it happens, or other things like that, right? And then quarters for sleeping, quarters for eating, quarters for office space, and a training room. That's what an EMS station looks like. Folks, we got none of that, okay? I'm spending about $140,000 a year in leasing homes and paying for heated garage space. And those aren't next to one another sometimes. So like we get in the rig, we go down several miles down the road, we get in our response rig out of the quarters several miles down the road, go get the rig and go back past the quarters to get to the call. It's not the way to do things. But on that note, Star Valley Health invested $1.3 million in your EMS system in this valley. Okay? So you guys pay an amount of $30,000 a year to have EMS services up here. Alpine gave us rigs and equipment. The town of Thane gave us rigs and equipment. And we have a 5-year contract, too. And then after the end of 5 years, we're probably gonna have to have a discussion. Because my budget is right around the area of $2.9 million a year to operate EMS. So now, I try to make our own way, and we do that by doing interfacility transport work, plus we bill for services when we come out and pick you up. You're gonna get a bill from us. Those bills, I've met with the CEO and the Vice President of HR, who I report to, and the three of us have discussed those. We're right in line with where we should be. We're not trying to gouge people, but we're trying to be reasonable. And the great thing I say is that I don't have shareholders, right? I'm not a corporation. We're North Lincoln County Hospital District. So we have this mill levy taxing entity, which last year we got $746,000, okay, was what the amount we got out of the mill levy. What was my budget? $2.9 million. It ain't making it, folks. So we do have billing, but there is a gap. And right now, you should thank Star Valley Health. Specifically, there's, I always accredit to because Ortho makes our money, right, at the hospital. And these two guys, Kevin Stuckey, and yes, so our orthopedic surgeons are making our way, and they're paying for your EMS. So the question becomes, is what do we want EMS to look like in the valley? Because one option would be is you dial 911, and fire can come out with their new fire truck. They can chunk you in the back of the fire truck, or they can haul you to the hospital, right? That would be an option. They might not like it. You might not like it, right? You might not like it because they don't do some of the care we do. Or you could chunk them in the back of the patrol car, so the sheriff's department can haul you up to the hospital. You might not be getting cared for in the same manner. So it's a challenge, I'm telling you, it is. And when you look at budget, like I can't just ignore it. So our staff right now, full-time, we have 9 paramedics. Out of those 9 paramedics, 6 of them have obtained the level of critical care provider. So they're an ICU level clinician. Those paramedics are doing rotations in the ICU in ERMAC. That's unheard of in a 911 service. You don't have an ICU level clinician coming to your house and starting an IV and giving you 911 care. It's just unheard of. So, and why is that? Well, it's because to pay the bills, I want to be a partner and I want to do interfacility critical care transport. And that's what the brochure is that I put up here. So we have opened up to Montpelier has us on speed dial, Evanston, Kemmer, Soda. We are in process and talks right now. We are actually going to be expanding our service. You can pass that around and take a look. But basically, I've built, my crew and we've built a flight service without aircraft. So these guys are flight paramedics. They got their FPC, and they're operating at critical care level. We have Star Valley Health has invested in Hamilton Ventilators, which is the top transport ventilator, ICU level ventilator in the nation, or in the world, really. We have Sapphire pumps, so we run all our pumps on, all our drugs are on pumps. So it's not just a drip rate and we get behind it. It's a methodical method. We're about to go to ultrasound on the truck, so we'll be doing fast exams, and then eventually moving to rush exams on our hemodynamically compromised critically ill patients. So, between all that, and then I wrote a grant for $200,000, which there is no free money, folks. I paid for that with my sanity, but because the reports to the federal government were undaunting. But we took that $200,000, and that's how we got this training levels up. So we took guys, we hired on basic EMTs. All those folks have leveled up 2 levels, and they're now they are IEMTs. And so our IEMTs operate like the paramedics in Idaho Falls. They have 30 medications they're authorized to give. They operate the monitor in the manual mode, so they don't use an AED. They identify a rhythm. They would defibrillate you. So there, and they have pain meds they carry. So the IMT is a fantastic level. It's a Wyoming cert only. And so I would tell you so pretty much they are an ALS provider, advanced life support level. And so at that point, we have 5 IMTs. We have 2 AEMTs left as far as our full-time staff, and they're in paramedic school off of that grant. And then we have 2 basic EMTs still, but they are also in paramedic school off of that grant. So pretty much, we're going to be back to a paramedic level service, where you have 2 ALS providers coming to your house to provide high-level EMS care. So we've got PRN staff members, 5 of those paramedics. We have 10 I's that are PRN. These are our part-time folks. And then, so a total of 19 staff that are part-timers. Some of those people live in the valley. Some of them are part-time, just travel over and fill in shifts when we have vacations, things like that. But we do have 24/7, 365 staffing here. So, and then we built this thing, but like there was no infrastructure. So we have contracted with a high-level educator that is IA Med. We put that together, and now, because I could have hired an educator, but they would have to climb the mountain, right? So that we didn't have all the education in place at the level that we're operating, and especially these guys that have gotten their critical care level, and now they have to maintain that level. They have to maintain that level of education. So, equipment-wise, the video laryngoscopes, the ventilators, the IV pumps, all the safety mounting gear, so you don't see one of our monitors does not sit on a bench in the back of the ambulance. It's clipped into a safety mounting that literally, if we're in a crash, we don't turn our sick, ill patient into a trauma patient because they got smacked with one of our pieces of devices that's unsecure in the background. So, communication-wise, we got licensed in Idaho because we go up Tin Cup. And when we go over there, Dr. Brown, our medical director, had to get his license in Idaho. That was accomplished. But with that happening, it just made sense for us. So 1/3 of Caribou County is our first due. So in the wintertime, we go up to Lanes Creek. In the summertime, we run to Wayne. And so we're getting some tax dollars out of Idaho to help maintain the service. The little community of Jackknife. So on the other side, over in Freedom, right? They actually pay tax dollars to be their EMS service. So, and what I'm getting at is there are some entities in this valley that are either municipalities or a government entity that don't pay any money. And so believe me, that doesn't go unnoticed by me, and I will be addressing that in the future, right? Because we all should be a partner in public safety. Communication-wise, we had to upgrade all our radios because we also got to communicate with Idaho and here. So I wrote a grant, we got $77,000. I haven't figured out, these grants are not fun, right? But I got $77,000, we're upgrading all our radios, a lot of upgrades. We're actually in the process right now of building a backcountry ambulance. Today we just took delivery of 4-wheelers because we service the backcountry and we go us and search and rescue work together. It's a great partnership, and they do the technical rescue and we do the medical. And so we run up either Grace River, or we're running up Smith Fork, or we go up to Prater Canyon here in Deer Valley, right? And we get people that hurt themselves either in the wintertime or in the summertime, because we're pretty consistent at doing that here, right? And we also built up a backcountry ambulance, which is on a UTV frame, and it's basically on a Honda Pioneer, but everybody's seen it. If you've driven by Star Valley Power Sports, people are going in there and going, is that a camper? No, it's gonna be an off-road ambulance. So, that will be out and about. We'll be at the fair on the View, should be at the fair, in the beginning of August. So, I'll tell you that between that, the call volume that we've had is, for last year, we ran 1,069 calls out of that. So out of that, we had 400, we had a total of 864 of those were 911 calls. Out of the 864, 390 of them were non-billable. So about 46%, I'm sure people that operate businesses, 46% of your clients pay nothing, right? It's not a good business plan. And that's where the money problem comes in. Because 911 response is the lose money business. It's public safety work, okay? And, we have a contract, an interagency agreement between us and Mid-Valley Fire, and that says that they will come out and do extrication for us, and we will go and do standby at fire scenes, and we will treat their firemen, and we're going to be standing by to do rehab and that. So that costs money, right? And that costs money for them to come out to us. But our tax dollar problem on our end is a problem. And so I have some ideas on how to solve it. We are not going to get out of the 911 business, and the hospital is in support of it. But I just want to say there is a funding issue, and I have some solutions. I won't speak to those right now, but again, keep in mind, 46% of our 911 calls we don't get any money for. Okay, so and that could be anywhere from auto accidents where we go out and people say, hey, I'm fine, but we have to respond to the auto accident when dispatched. So and we sign some refusals, and then we go back home, and we don't get any money for that. So with that. So 1,069, we did 185 interfacility calls, and those are guaranteed money, and that's why we've stood up this interfacility transport, offering it to Jackson, offering to Driggs, and with that we'll stand up an additional crew. That doesn't mean we're abandoning 911 service because we're going to go do these interfacility transports out and out, if that's fair. So we recognize that we're not going to abandon the valley. So. I tell you that we ran 150 calls in Star Valley Ranch since our inception. So over the last year and a half, we've run, I just looked, we ran 150 calls that were indicated in our system in Star Valley Ranch. So with that, what are your questions?
Council, do you have any questions?
I had a question. I read again recently that the Rutland legislature did not approve EMS as being a essential service, and that is why you don't get paid for those. Is there anything what's happening in the legislature to turn that around? I know it's come up again this year, it got passed, shut down,
So the Wyoming EMS Association, which is a collection of the EMS directors across the state, we have done some lobbying. We've been with the governor's office. One of the options is part of the problem is there's some rules related to taxation. So, for example, my problem is that I'm part of Star Valley Health, so we get the mill levy, and that is you can say, well, that's a tax, right? So now we can't stand up and start an EMS tax because I would have to devolve myself of the hospital and move on. Well, that would be a very bad decision. That would not be the right decision. So really what it comes down to is that I think it's a matter of a conversation between the municipalities that we serve and the county government that we serve and say, what is the level of service you want to have? And I'm not looking to make a profit, I'm just looking to break even. And I'm looking to go, hey, I'll even go and run calls over in Idaho, and we garner business and money from there. So I'm just looking to, at some point, come forward with what my budget is and what the deficit is, and then let's talk about who's applying what monies to what, right? Even, and I say, even the little town of, the little community of Jackknife, which is what we call Bonneville Fire District, they're paying money. And so they only have like, I think, I talked to Cynthia, I think they have 200 residents, and they're paying $1,500 a year. So it's probably not a lot of money to make up the deficit and to keep our service at the level that we want, right? Because when you dial 911 and your loved one's on the ground, you want a quick response. And so, you know, I have the challenges going forward involve a couple of things. One is we got to build some stations. And unfortunately, Star Valley Health is growing. We're putting up we're going to get an ER in Alpine, right? And then we're going to have, and we're standing up an additional surgery center down there in Alpine. And so that takes a lot of money. And so for me, trying to get them to give me like $1.4 million to build a station, it's on the back burner right now. So, but on the other hand, it's costing us $140,000 a year to rent all these places and do it kind of ad hoc. So, you know, I know the grant is it's a terrible way, but I'm looking at that option to see if we can get a station stood up. But ultimately, to make up the budget deficit, I think that we need to come out and say, and I think what we'll do is we're going to say, look, we're going to apply the mill levy to EMS, $746,000. And so that could be the county's contribution, right? Or that is a contribution. And then we look at all the other entities and say, here's our budget deficit, and let's talk about, you know, and it might be a very small amount that each entity puts in, but it would be something. And then we just, like I said, we don't need to make profit, we just operate efficiently and break even. So that's my, moving forward, I eventually would come back and say, hey, this is where we're at, and we would try to gather all of the stakeholders together and have a conversation about what is the service we want to have. And I'll tell you, if I can make my own way, I don't want your money, right? So if I can stand up the premier critical care ground transport service, and I'm picking patients up, because we're talking right now about doing things like, we're going to get a Montana license, and potentially I'll be going up and picking up burn patients for ERMAC for their burn center, because in weather, they have trouble getting flights and getting people out of Dillon and Big Sky. So that's one of the lines of business. I've also had some conversations about doing high-level maternal transport and setting up that. And that's all made possible because I've got critical care level clinicians working for us. And so we're talking about Idaho Falls Community and ERMAC partnering with us. So, like I said, if I can make up the deficit with my own funding and my own business model, yeah, I don't want your money, right? So I just want to provide a high-level 911 service and the critical care transport services that are absolutely needed out of here. Because when you're on a vent, and you're running a couple pressors, and you're sick, and we need to get you out of here because our hospital doesn't have every service that you may need. Well, and the weather is, we're not getting an aircraft for a week. I can't tell a family that, hey, I'm sorry, your family member's not going to do well, right? We need to take them immediately. So that really and that's why the critical care level capabilities is so essential for us here. So hopefully I answered your question.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, Lee?
Do you do a breakdown by municipality? I think you said there was 136 or something to Star Valley Ranch, and we paid $30,000 a year for that.
Yeah, 150 basically over the last year, 6 months. So what I'm going to do is.
So is that adequate? Or are you saying
So I
the
think.
ranch should pay more?
No, at this point,
What are you saying?
I don't have that information, okay? What I'm saying is that I'm gonna do an analysis, and we're going to look and say, okay, what is our deficit? Where are we short? And then, let's talk about maybe by population, and we say, okay, population here for the entities that incorporate it, and then the balance would go on the county, right? So I don't have the formula yet, but I want to make it fair. Whatever the system is, I'll come up with a fair system. And right now we're in a 5-year contract where you guys pay $30,000 a year, and Alpine and Thane gave us equipment and supplies and all that. And so, I feel like, you know, and realistically, right now, I mean, I am running the two rigs that I got from Thane. They are it's the primary rig, 314 is primary rig in Alpine, and 313, we added a liquid spring suspension system to it, and it is the primary rig in here in Thane. You know, it sits right down here, and we're not on Star Valley Ranch footprint, but we're close, right? Because we just run right up, Dana Road and to Muddy Spring, and we're coming in. So our response times are greatly enhanced, very, very fast. And so with that, I think we just come up with a fair system. And I don't have a number for you right now. So, what other questions?
Doesn't look like there is any.
Fantastic.
So thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. All right. So the next item on the agenda is the public comment, and that will be 3 minutes. So if you would like to address the council, you can come up here, please state your name, and you'll have 3 minutes. The council won't respond, but, okay. Is there anyone who would like to participate in the public comment? Okay, would you please go up and state your name?
My name is Lars Robinson, and I live in Black Point. And I actually have 4 issues or matters to talk about. That would take 3 minutes each, but I don't plan on taking all that. It all rolls into one.
Yeah, 3 minutes,
Bear with me.
sir.
What do you want me to do?
I want you to talk for 3 minutes.
So is this censorship at its finest?
No?
Is this supposed to be a town environment where everybody can have?
You're right, it's a public meeting, and you have been very disrespectful in the past. So if you would, please take your 3 minutes.
What's that?
Please take your 3 minutes.
Well,
Starting
first thing
now.
We're gonna start with is the technology. That was a beautiful PowerPoint this gentleman had. I'd like to see it on there. I could barely see it from my seat, and I was dragged on it. Okay, that's number 1. The second one, don't smug me, Mary.
I am
I
not,
got shit for you soon enough.
I'm sure.
All equipment that's working in my neighborhood, Mr. Ellis, needs to have markings on it. I wanna know who's working in my neighborhood. And please pay attention to me, Mr. Denny.
I'm writing down, Mark.
Thank you. And then, my next one, and this is very important, and I want you all to pay attention. So I know all about how you guys ran short-term rental through our ordinances over the last 2.5 years. Well, guess what? I got strangers walking through my neighborhood doing this with their video cameras on their phones. I feel endangered. I don't know who they are. So this is what I want from the town. And I think everybody here is probably experiencing the same thing. We need maps of every plat with every registered short-term rental in it. Because I already read all the laws that you passed. And unfortunately, I don't get notified because of the 300-foot rule. I live 400 from the closest one. And secondly, or actually fourthly, and I'm done. So in this folder, I've been requesting documents. Oh boy, this is the best. This folder, Mr. Ellis, Mr. Denny, holds 15 plus building and town violations on 12 West Elkhorn Circle. I just requested 4 more documents. I will submit that request to you tomorrow. I would like those tomorrow in my email. I've asked for the certificate of placement, the septic record, the reading on mitigation. What was the other one? I'll have to read my notes. But this will be the last. And I'm gonna tell you something. You have 5 days to start demoing that house, or I file my petition in the circuit court for writ of mandamus for you to demo it from the corner.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I apologize to all of you that were here last month when I had my outburst. So,
Does anyone else have a public comment? Would you like to come up here, please?
Bobby Dickerson. Just a quick question, and I know you're probably on top of it, but dust guard for the roads, have we got timelines when that's gonna happen and stuff?
Not, I don't think the council does right now, but we'll certainly look into it.
Yeah. One of the other things is, and I'm sure you're gonna work on it, and I see you've got a road committee coming up, is priority of the roads.
Mhm.
And then, I still got a heartburn with the bridge, going in down there and spending that money on that bridge.
You're here.
And then I know we had a meeting today at the homeowners association, y'all had a planning meeting too. I'd like to see some deconflicting of that, if we could visit together and kind of, because I'd like to be at both meetings on that, I mean,
So ours are once a month on Tuesday.
yeah,
So.
we had one today too.
Right,
so.
yeah. And I think we actually put our meeting on Tuesday because I thought the HOA was doing it on Thursdays. But
Well,
if
we
it's
could be
changed,
interested and just look at it, that's all
Okay,
I'm asking.
yeah.
I mean, it's-
sure.
And, the other thing is the sheriff, and these ATVs and forerunners running here. I tell you, it was July 1st. There was a little kid, 2 years old, walking up on Vista East with nobody around. I mean, he was totally lost. Well, we finally found his house up on Oak, and it was one of the bed and breakfast, or whatever you want to call them.
Okay.
His parents didn't even know where he was at.
So I don't know what we can do to control some of that. I mean, I guess his little siblings or older siblings had a little go-kart. They've been running up and down the road. I know some people got onto him about that. But just things we need to look at for safety on that, because that little kid, I mean,
Yeah.
we had it happen by the end. Somebody comes over that hill right there, coming down from
Yeah.
Aspen Hills would have hit him.
Wow.
It would have been good. But, and then, do we have any updates or anything on the Silver Star fiber? Has any?
I've not heard a word.
Okay.
Nothing. Okay, thank you. Thanks for your help on that. Okay, any other comments? Yes? Nate?
Hello, I'm Chuck Hewens, with 54 Redwood Road. I've heard that you're starting dust guard at Redwood Road. It's really bad. Please start it soon. I know the sheriff supports us because we pay for them and we're in the county, and the little kids that Bobby was just talking about. I would like to see at this meeting a monthly report that the sheriff's office had so many hours within our community, whether they were 10 o'clock at night or 2 o'clock in the morning. I really don't care about those. I'd like to see them during the daylight hours, but I would like to see a report, and I'd like it to be attached to the minutes every time. Middle Bridge, I recommend that you just open it enough for golf carts and walkers, and you can worry about rebuilding it some long time in the future. Our roads need the $500,000 that you have for bridge on Hardman. Please put it into the roads. That's my 3 minutes.
Thank you very much. All right. Any other comments? All right, then we'll move on on our agenda from the public comment session. And this would be to adopt the consent agenda. The consent agenda, hold please, I gotta find it. There are 3 items on the consent agenda. That's the minutes for the June 13th town council meeting and the town workshop, the disbursements, the community board appointments, which is appointing Lee Hansen to the Water Utility Board, and his term will expire in 2026, and the dispatch report and the court report. And could I get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I move we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
It's been, the motion's been made by Councilman Ellis and seconded by Councilman Rock. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Hearing none opposed, motion carries. Let's see. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing. And we do have a road study update that we can talk about tonight. That report is, last summer the town council asked to update our road study, which was done in 2014. And that update talks about traffic on the roads. So it looks at the arterial roads and the local roads and different things, and gives us some ideas on the actual roads. So up here you can see, what do we have up there?
Existing roads inventory map.
Okay. So if you go to page, I had to do this, not very well, page 7. So let's talk about, this really didn't change from 2014. And so I'll take questions when I'm finished.
We can't see it from back here. Is it enlarged, please?
Can we make it bigger?
I can try it, I don't know. It's gonna cut stuff off is the problem.
All right. So this is, it seems so loud, road classifications. So nothing changed on this from 2014. These are all still the same. But arterial roads, and then our town arterial roads, neighborhood collectors, and then local, and then primitive. And I can kind of go down this if you'll scroll down a little bit more. So our arterial roads are still Alpine Way, Butte Drive, Cedar Creek, East Street, Hardman Road, Ridgecrest Drive, and Vista Drive. The neighborhood collectors, this also did not change. Birch Drive, Bonneville, Brambleberry, Dogwood, Hardman Road, Vista East, Vista West, West Street, Last Chance, and Chokecherry, and I think, yeah. And so those are the main roads in town, and those are your arterials, which are the most important roads, and then the collectors. So those did not change. Now, if, Jamie, if you would turn to page 21, and let's talk about 21. So we had traffic counters out, and this kind of gives you an idea of the amount of traffic. The one thing that I really noticed is two things. We now have an emergency easement from North Forest to Cedar. So North Forest definitely jumped up in their counts. And actually Vista West went down, which could be that. I think it's also attributed to the fact that the association offices are now not there. They were on Vista East, now they're on Cedar Creek. So these numbers were frightening since I live on Cedar Creek when I saw this. But anyway, I'll kind of look at these traffic counts, and they rank the traffic 1 through 22 as far as the busiest road goes. So the busiest road in town is Cedar Creek Drive, which had, now this is a 1-week count, and this is actually per axle, can't talk. So you can kind of divide that in half. But anyway, 5,741 axles went over that road in a week. After Cedar Creek Drive, it's Hardman, which I think pretty much everyone kind of knows. East Street, Vista West, Brambleberry, North Forest, Hardman North, Barberry, West Street, Alpine Way, Alpenglow, Alta Drive, Hardman South, and Solitude Drive, Last Chance, Vista East, which really surprised me because that one actually went down substantially compared to where it used to be. Middle Branch, Ridgecrest, Paiute, Birch, Chokecherry, and West Elkhorn. So you can see there's some pretty substantial numbers. I think we feel it. This was done in August. I think the counts were done in August, and so kind of hits our summer traffic. I'm like everybody else. It should have been done on July 4th, but anyway. So this kind of helps the town council say, okay, these are our arterial roads. This kind of helps them rank. We know this is the busiest road in town. And I do hear from people say, I'm the busiest road in town, but this really gives us the numbers. We actually, when we started this project, we couldn't get counters anywhere. In the past, we've been able to get them from the county, but they were using everything they had. So we actually purchased them so we can actually do these counts. I think those counters also give us more information. I think they'll also give us speed. And so it might be something we want to look at again to do these counters. So anyway, so those are the two biggest pages that I really wanted to discuss. And we can, if anyone has questions, we can certainly talk about them to the best of my ability here. And so, do you want to come up here and ask questions? Oh, yeah. I didn't see it either. That's right. It's not on that drive. I can tell you, well, and the weird thing about Vista, the interesting thing about Vista is that you're right, this part of Vista is by far the busiest. So if you take, that's what it was. So if you take all of those roads that go on there, Vista West, Vista East, Solitude, Alta, Cedar Creek Drive, add all of those up, that'll give you those numbers, which might really be scary. So, yeah, we know how busy this road is. So good call. I didn't even realize that one is not on there.
It's in the previous table.
Is it in?
One, and
Oh.
there was some equipment malfunction, but it does.
It does address it on page 20?
Yes.
Page 20. So if you go back to page 20, that's right. Does it have Vista on here?
It does, it's asterisk.
Oh, but it does have an asterisk, and it says Vista Drive and Vista West counts are compromised by equipment malfunction. Vista West was re-recorded, Vista Drive recount deemed unnecessary because you can add up everyone else and find out what Vista is. So I did not take the time to do that, but that's a good call. And you had a couple of other comments on here. A last chance. It should be noted that at the time of the traffic count collective for Middle Branch Drive and Middle Branch Crossing at Cedar Creek was closed to traffic. This closure poses potentiality that could affect the traffic counts of both Middle Branch and Last Chance. At the most likely outlet, due to the location of the traffic count on Middle Branch, southwest near Hardman, the effect of the closure is not as clear as would be if the traffic count were closer to the bridge. It is this report's recommendation in general to continue gathering traffic count data to refine priorities, particularly with Middle Branch Drive, upon completion of the crossing replacement, which makes sense. Okay.
Can we go back to 22? I want to see how busy West Elkhorn was.
369. Way, oh. Well, the bottom of the list of these roads, yeah. Not of all, I don't even know how many total roads we have, but yeah. Good point. Any other questions on this report?
Lee Hanson, Hartman Place. Is there, you had indicated to me at one time that there was signage also that was identified that was supposed to be on the various roads and the various points where they cross one another, and I can't see that on any of this
Correct.
report, so
So,
I'm wondering where you got that information and where would you find that?
so on the
And
two,
secondly, will you post this on
Yeah.
online as well?
yeah, as soon as the council accept it.
Okay.
So to answer your question, Lee, I think as a town council last year, we didn't realize that this wouldn't include the traffic study, which is a different study. So our 2014 road study, part of that, 9 pages of it, is a traffic study. So it's not included in this. It's included in what we have now, which this is only a teeny update to the 4 books that we have that have the road study. I've since then contacted Sunrise Engineering, who did our original road study, and asked them if they would do the traffic study part of it as soon as we find out what it's going to cost. It's a different engineer than does this. This was a civil engineer. We'll have to have a traffic engineer do that one. But thank you for bringing that up. I forgot in my notes. But yeah. So we need to do that, because obviously our traffic has changed since 14, substantially, I think. Okay, Mr. Thacker.
On
Yeah, we have people watching online. They would like to hear your voice and know who you are.
My name's Ron Thacker, and I live on Plat 18, and I live on Porto Road. Porto Road is not listed there, but there is a lot of traffic that cuts across from Hardman. And I come up Porto Road. Hardman Road, does a big circle and down into Middle Branch. And a lot of people use a shortcut through Porto Road, right in front of the house, you know, to get to the lower or the north part of Hardman Road. And I was wondering why that one wasn't particularly listed.
I don't know. It's a good question. I think now the advantage we have is we have our own counter, so we can actually check some of these and see if it's substantially different than what the report
A lot
says.
of people use that for a shortcut.
I actually heard that at coffee with the mayor this morning, so. All right, any other questions on this road study? All right, can I get a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
It was moved by Councilman Denny and seconded by Councilman Merrill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Hearing none opposed, motion carries. Thank you very much. And we will get that on the website. Okay, next item on the agenda is we have ordinances. We have 2 ordinances. Could I get a motion to read by title only?
I so move.
Second. Councilman Merrill made the motion. Councilman Denny seconded. Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Hearing none opposed, motion carries. We will read this by title, but we will open it up to questions. So, who is doing the first one? So the first one is ordinance 2023-07, Title 3, that is Administration, Chapter 33, Town Organization. This is the second reading. And do we have any discussion on this one? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nope. Oh, motion first. Can I get a motion to approve? Sorry. We have a new agenda, I'm learning it.
I move we approve.
Second?
I second.
Moved by Councilman Ellis, second by Councilman Denny. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Hearing none opposed, motion carries. Next item is ordinance 2023-08, Title 3, Administration, Chapter 33, Town Organizations, and this is the first reading. Any discussion? Do I need a motion first before we discuss? Can I have a motion?
I so move.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
It's been moved by Councilman Merrill, second by Councilman Denny. Any discussion? Any questions? Okay. All in favor say aye.
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 Hearing none opposed, motion carries. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the mayor and council. If any of them has any announcements that you would like to make? Go first.
Oh,
Are we gonna get a kind of report back on you ladies that, met Terry up at the association, what you thought of that? What are your objectives and that sort of stuff?
sure.
I think, yeah, I think the concern with that was not a town event. And since this is a town council meeting where we conduct town business, the town council was not involved, they didn't know about it. So, I don't know that it's proper, but it, you know.
It was town council members were there.
Yeah, it was purely a social meeting so that Councilman Merrill and myself could introduce ourselves to the town along with the new General Managers Association. We did entertain some questions from folks, but it was not an official town meeting or a town event.
Gonna do it again?
We may do it again. People seem to like the collaboration between the organizations. It might not just be Councilman Merrill and myself, perhaps some of the other council members would also like to collaborate and
There's a farmer's market starting this Saturday from 8 to 11.
Councilman Merrill,
Oh,
microphone,
that
please.
was being loud.
Feels like it.
We have a farmer's market this Saturday, 8 to 11. It's going to run through Labor Day. There'll be a few Saturdays we missed for some of the Natural Resource Board things, but pretty much every Saturday with different vendors. We'd love you all to come.
Location?
It'll be at the First Responder Building. Yeah, kind of where the Safety Days was held.
Is that big flat thing that you're?
Right behind you, right here.
Well, I know, but there's some construction work there. Will it be in that area?
It'll probably be more in the
Not
parking
yet,
lot
probably in the
area.
parking lot right
They're
now.
still working on that area right
Okay,
now.
so, thank you.
Okay, any other councilman?
I'd like to remind you people that War on Weeds is this Thursday, I think. And there are lots of black henbane out there, lots of Dyer's Road, a bunch of other nuisance weeds out there. Nuisance weeds are part of the nuisance ordinance, so all homeowners are reminded to take care of your weeds. So we're not the nuisance weed center of Lincoln County like we were described a few years ago. But the county weed pest will be here. They'll go with you out to your yard and help you understand how to take care of your weeds, recognize them, etc. I know myself, I'm a Dyer's Road. I see a Dyer's Road 100 yards away. I know Jerry Sylvain sees spotted knapweed, no matter where he goes.
I won't spray them, but I should.
But anyway, it's a great program. You can discount on the chemicals. But, come on down and meet your weed and pest people. It's definitely a good way to understand the nuisance weeds in this town, so.
Mayor, can I say a couple words about the short-term rental?
Sure.
So the town has, as part of the budget for this 2023-2024 year, contracted to have a short-term rental monitoring compliance service, which is the town staff is in the process of working out the details. They've already, we already have an agreement with them, and so that's really going to help the town with monitoring of short-term rental properties. For the most part, a lot of those properties, there's no issues, but there's always, a couple of that cause problems for neighbors and things. And so we think this service is going to help a lot, help us be able to keep track of them, and also to just make people aware that there is a permitting requirement and what the requirements are for them to operate those on the ranch.
Thank you. Any other announcements? You have an announcement?
Anyway, on short-term rental, will the short-term rental owners be paying for that? Or will the town be responsible for payment to this management company?
Sorry. It's actually something the town put in their budget.
Okay.
So it was something that we discussed and it was pretty reasonable. I don't know if the permitting fees will cover that, but for the most part, I think yes. So the fees that are collected when everyone renews or gets a new permit will go towards that, and I won't say it's a wash, but it's close.
Okay. If there is an overage, will you maybe look at going back and raising the rates for the short-term rental?
I don't know. I know we're re-looking the short-term rental ordinance now to see about updates and changes we can make to
So
improve it.
it isn't one of the ones that you're reevaluating?
That ordinance is one of the ones we're looking at, but I don't know, we haven't really talked about the rates or changing the permit fees yet, but yes.
Thank you, Ruth.
It's a good call. All right, I think that's it.
Recommendation for you. Everybody that comes up to this, nobody leans into the microphone. So we don't hear any of these people. And they turn around like this and talk sometimes. I'm just
But they
suggesting
should talk to the council. Yeah.
sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
And all of
good point.
almost all of you come out of those speakers over there. So everybody, you're talking, we're looking over there.
Oh.
Anyway, I'm just recommending, take this, put it over there, or put it over there, so that people are standing and talking to this. Get people to talk into these things.
Okay.
Because I'm sitting right here, and I can't hear these people.
Thank you. Well taken. Could I get a motion to adjourn, please?
I so move.
Second?
I'll second.
Moved by Councilman Denny, second by Councilman Merrill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.